Okay, actually, and I do apologize. That was not actually part 4. That was part 5 that I just finished. This is part 6 here. I didn't realize the video had gotten that long. But, so it took them an hour. So anyhow, I'm in OB recovery. The really nice nurse, she came. She brought me an electric hospital-grade breast pump. She brought me the little plastic bottles, the labels that they have you already pre-printed with your name and your account number, everything on it. That way, when you stick the label on the bottle, they have to check it across, with your child down in the NICU to make sure that it's your milk, and you're not getting somebody else's, that type of thing. And, some other information that was in the little package she gave me. So she comes in and she talks to me. My mom comes in and talks to me briefly. And, then my mom was like, I'm going to go down and see the babies in the nursery. So go ahead. That way you can see them and tell me what they look like, that type of thing. So she goes, and from where my L&D room is, outside of number 15, which is the one right next to me, we're the two closest to where the NICU's at. So the NICU's at the other end of the building. Well, not building. I'd say, yeah, you could say building, but it's a smaller building, and that particular building is. But it's at the end of that hallway, so she didn't have to go far. It was like a straight shot, pretty much. So she goes down to the NICU. She sees the babies, and she comes back. And I'm in the OB recovery for maybe about an hour. In there, the OR OB recovery, and the nurses just kind of checked on me, monitor blood pressure, temperature, that type of thing, make sure you're okay. And I really wasn't having a whole lot of pain. I was still a little out of it, and I couldn't at first feel my legs, but I was in there maybe about 15-20 minutes, and I could start feeling my legs again. So the spinal wears off rather quickly compared to when I had my epidural 16 years ago, and I got the epidural at 9 o'clock in the morning, and here we are at 8 o'clock at night, and it still hadn't worn off, and that was a problem. So I was thankful for that. I was able, to be able to once again feel my legs. And at first it was just sort of a wiggle, and then I could actually feel them. Now, granted, they're certainly not letting you walk anywhere, but at least I could feel them. So I was only in there about an hour. Then they end up wheeling me down to my room on the actual I guess antenatal unit, the after birth unit, or the post birth unit, whatever you want to call it. It's actually not even called either one of those. It's called the family centered care unit. There we go. And essentially, whoever your nurse is also takes care of your baby. But because mine had to go to the NICU, it works a little different. But you're still in there with the other women. You're down there. So you have your own private room. And again, if I can figure out how to insert videos on here, pictures on here. I'm not sure that there's a way to do that after I've already uploaded it. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at it and see. But I will certainly upload those pictures if I can figure out how to do it. But it's a nice little room. You have your own private room, your own private bathroom, that type of thing, TV, all that good stuff. And I ended up, the babies were born on Tuesday morning. My water broke Monday night. They were born Tuesday morning, and I ended up discharging on Friday afternoon. So I ended up staying a full 4 days, I guess you could say, in the hospital. No major problems. After the first couple days and the mag wore off, they put me back on my blood pressure meds. My blood pressure was okay. The first day they had me on a liquid diet. Couldn't have anything but clear fluids. I was starving. Other than that, they kept the catheter in because I had to have a Foley cath. That was one of those things they did in the room before they did the C-section. When they prepped me in the pretty room before they took me, that was one of the things she had to do. She had to put in a catheter. So they kept the catheter in up until the next morning. They kept my IV in until the next morning. I was on liquids for a full day, and then they took that stuff out. The nurses, the first time I got up, they had to help me out the bed, of course, to the bathroom. The only bad thing was I did not get to see the babies until they were 11 hours old, pretty much. They were born early that morning, and I had to wait until a nurse came on shift that had the time to take me down there because they were, I guess, short-staffed the morning that the kids were born, and there wasn't enough nurses to go around, so I had to wait on somebody. So by the time I finally got to go see my babies, they were already 11 hours old. Now, I won't say that was a problem because I'm sure they were asleep most of the time anyhow, but I would have liked to have seen them sooner, and I was anxious to see them, so I kept asking, but it is what it is. I couldn't get there any faster. But they were in the NICU. By the time I did get to go see them, they were already hooked up in their little IVs. My baby A was the smaller baby, and she was born 3 pounds and like 5.6 ounces, so almost 6 ounces. She was 16 and half inch long, I believe. Baby B was 3 pounds, 9.6 ounces, I believe. So she was almost 19. I mean, sorry, 3 pounds, 9.6 ounces. So she was almost 3 pounds, 10 ounces. But she was a little bit shorter. She was only 16 and an eighth inch long. Baby B, the one who was a little bit larger, ended up having to be on CPAP for the first 2 days, which is like a little oxygen thing that routes through their nose, and it has bubbles and like a humidifier to it. She came off of it, no problems. Baby A did not have to go on any oxygen. The only problem she had during her NICU stay really was she had one day where her sodium levels, or 2 days her sodium levels were a little high. So they had to give her something called dextrose, which is a liquid, I guess, to help bring that down. But other than that, my girls ended up staying in the NICU a total of 1 day shy of 3 weeks. They were born on that Tuesday, and they came out on a Monday. So that following Tuesday would have been 3 weeks exact. Oh, 2 Tuesdays later. But other than that, they were what they call feeders and growers. It's pretty much where they go and they just learn to eat, learn to, keep their body temperature up, and they just eat and they grow. When we left the NICU 3 weeks later, baby A was 4 pounds and I think 7 ounces, and baby B was 4 pounds 13 ounces, I believe. And like I said, that was on a Monday. On Wednesday, when we went to their first pediatrician appointment, they weighed them again. Baby B was 5 pounds even, and baby A was 4'11". So they definitely picked up weight nicely, which is really good because I'm not used to holding tiny, tiny babies because my older 2 kids were 7'8" and 7'7". So this was definitely, a little challenging for me. Overall, my postpartum care, those 4 days I was in the hospital, was fine, no problems. The nurses were great. I was on a regular diet after that first initial day. At the hospital, like I said, they have the video thing where you dial in on the phone, you can watch the videos, but they also have it called the newborn channel, and I was able to watch it on my laptop. You just key in a code, and they have this whole series of videos, and it was really neat. Everything from breastfeeding to how to change a diaper. It was all kinds of stuff. So it was a refresher for me because my kids are older. So I watched tons of videos. They did let me use the hospital grade pump there in the hospital. I ended up renting one from the local Walgreens when I got out, because while I do have a really nice $300 Medela, the lactation consultants at our hospital are awesome. Excuse me. They came and saw me several times during my stay, talked to me about breastfeeding, helped me try to latch on, that type of thing. They told me, you don't want to wear out the motor on your Medela because it's not really ideal for pumping every 2 to 3 hours, which is what you have to do in the beginning when you have kids that can't latch, and you're trying to build up your supply. She's like, you really don't want to ruin your Medela. She's like, it's not going to be able to perform the way you need it. So we got the Amida, which is the hospital grade one from the Walgreens, and it's $60 a month. So I've had it almost a month now because the girls just turned 4 weeks yesterday, and I didn't get it until they were 5 or 6 days old. So we've had it roughly 3 weeks and some change. So I'll probably keep it up until the end of this week. I'm not sure if I'm going to extend it another month or not. I may at this point be able to switch over to using my Medela because I don't quite pump 2 to 3 anymore. I only pump maybe about every 4 hours at this point, which is you're pushing it every 4 hours, but timing, dealing with the babies, I just can't get into every 2 to 3. It just doesn't fit in the schedule. And I'm still trying to get the girls to latch on. And if the girls would, get better at latching on, I don't even need that particular pump anymore. And that is a little bit of a struggle, is getting them to latch, just as a side note. But other than that, I watched the videos on the newborn channel. Lactation consultants were great. Visitors wise, my mom, my parents came up, my brother came up from Georgia, my other brother that lives here came. I had 4 coworkers come and see the babies. A couple of personal friends, they came. The great thing about the NICU is you can bring visitors in, one at a time, so it's not just isolated to only parents, and that type of thing. You can actually bring in a visitor, so some other folks were able to see the babies. And my older kids were able to come in and see them. My youngest was not. The 4-year-old was not able to come in, but the older kids were. They have to be at least 5 at the hospital. That's the rule. So this pretty much concludes my labor and delivery story. That's it in a nutshell. The babies had to get here via C-section. Do I feel a little cheated or upset about the fact that it was a C-section? Yes and no. Having the C-section means I have to wait at least 6 months to try to conceive again, which is a problem for me because I'm getting older and we already have infertility issues. So I hate that we have to wait another 6 months. So I'm a little upset about that. However, it was life or death. My baby's heart was decelerating. She couldn't handle the contractions. I'm happy they're alive. I'm happy they're here. I'm happy they're healthy. It could have been a lot worse. I saw other little babies, sick babies in the NICU while I was there. Not cool at all. So I'm thankful they made it out okay. I'm thankful they're here and they're safe. But I hate that I missed out on pictures. I hate that, I didn't get the whole experience like I wanted to, but it is what it is and it'll be okay. So if you have any questions about anything I talked about, feel free to leave comments, and I definitely have several other videos I'm going to record that I'm also going to post as well. Talk to you soon. Bye.